The world doesn't care how exhausted you are, how many times you've been betrayed, or how often you've been underestimated. It will not pause to comfort you. It doesn't hand out free sympathy, and it will never adjust its rhythm just because you're out of breath. In the eyes of life, excuses, justifications, or personal pain are never enough to change the rules of the game. The first truth everyone must face is this: the world does not pity you. If you expect compassion from a machine that was built cold and unfeeling, you will only receive disappointment. Yet hidden within that harshness is a gift, the gift of raw truth that forces you to grow, forces you to become stronger in order to survive. You weren't born to blend in, nor were you created to disappear into the crowd. Your essence is not invisibility. You were designed to be different, to leave an imprint, to exist as a one-of-a-kind piece no one can replace. The problem is, most people forget that. They spend their lives asking for permission, begging for validation, slowly turning themselves into shadows. The world doesn't pity you because it wants to see you shine in the dark. It wants to see you grow through battles. No one helps you fight. Life will throw you into injustice, test you with failure, tempt you with ease, and then stand silently watching. No applause, no praise. And in that silence, you will learn whether you have the strength to rise again. The truth is, no one cares why you failed. No one is fascinated by your story of obstacles. The only thing that commands respect is results. And those results don't come from waiting for someone's sympathy, but from deciding to take responsibility for your own life, no matter how brutal the world may be. Every time you complain, you give your power away. Every time you blame, you drain your own strength. The more you justify, the more you let the world control your fate. But when you stop waiting for pity, you reclaim your authority. Sympathy brings only temporary relief. Inner strength builds something permanent. Look around you. How many people are stuck in the swamp of self-pity, comparing themselves to others, waiting for a miracle to save them? And how many have chosen to rise, to use hardship as a launchpad to go further? Those two paths separate the forgotten from the remembered, the ordinary from those who leave a legacy. The world does not pity you, because pity would make you weak. It would rob you of the chance to discover the hidden strength inside you. You only find out how powerful you are when adversity forces you to push back. You only discover resilience when every door slams shut and you still find a way to carve a new path. In refusing to pity you, life is actually giving you a gift, the gift of discipline, of learning responsibility, of becoming wiser and stronger. If you seize it, that is the beginning of freedom. Remember, no one owes you fairness. No one owes you a smooth road. No one is obligated to lift you every time you fall. But you owe yourself a promise, never to quit. The world will not pity you. That means you must learn to care for yourself by refusing to live as a victim. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this trying to teach me? That simple shift in perspective is the first step to breaking free from resentment. When you change your perspective, the world remains as ruthless as before, but you are no longer the same. And that difference is the weapon that allows you not just to survive, but to win. No pity can save you. Only courage can set you free. This is the harsh but fairest truth. You cannot change how the world operates, but you can change how you respond. And in that choice lies your true strength. How many opportunities have been lost not because others were too strong, but because you couldn't master your own emotions? How many relationships have fallen apart? How many personal values have collapsed simply because of one reckless reaction? The truth is, your greatest enemy isn't out there, it lives inside you. Your anger, your fear, your insecurity. If left unchecked, emotions turn you into a puppet, letting life and people pull the strings. One insult can ignite your rage, one look of disdain can drag you into chaos, one lapse of self-control can make you lose everything. That is not power, that is dependency. A person without emotional discipline is someone led by every external trigger. But the one who feels deeply, yet only reacts when they choose, that is true power. That is what makes someone dangerous. Emotional discipline doesn't mean being numb or unfeeling. It means never allowing anyone to use your emotions as a weapon against you. The wise do not let insults drag them into the mud of meaningless arguments. They don't rush to prove their worth because they know their worth doesn't exist in someone else's eyes. It exists in their own composure. A lion does not stop to react to the barking of dogs. That is an arrogance. It is the instinct of a ruler. Every time you react recklessly, you hand over control. You give others the blueprint of your mind, what angers you, what hurts you. And with that knowledge, they can manipulate your actions at will. If a single word is enough to unbalance you, you've surrendered your soul to whoever spoke it. But when you remain calm, you become an unshakable wall. Others grow uneasy. They can't read your mind, can't predict your next move. That unpredictability places you in control. Look at those who truly hold power. They aren't the loudest in the room. They aren't the ones shouting back at every challenge. They are the quiet observers. They listen more than they speak. And when they do speak, every word carries weight. Their silence is a weapon. Their calmness is proof of real authority. While the crowd loses itself to chaos, they stand still, waiting for the right moment, striking with precision. Emotions are signals, but they are not steering wheels. Anger may reveal injustice, fear may warn of danger, jealousy may uncover hidden desires. But if you let those signals steer your path, you will crash into regret. Instead, transform them into fuel. Turn anger into discipline, fear into vigilance, disappointment into strategy. When you master that transformation, you turn what could burn you into the fire that propels you forward. Mastering emotions is not easy. Instinct tells you to react instantly, to defend instantly, to retaliate instantly. But that is the instinct of the weak, those who don't understand that silence itself can be a choice. Training begins with learning to pause, to take a breath before speaking, to observe before reacting, to let reason decide instead of drowning in the wave of impulse. Between stimulus and response lies a sacred space, and in that space lives your true strength. Whoever controls that space controls themselves. Calmness doesn't mean ignoring everything. It means choosing wisely. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every insult deserves a reply. When you stay silent in the face of provocation, you are not cowardly, you are wise. When you walk away from a meaningless fight, you are not defeated, you are victorious over yourself. The weak crave instant gratification. The strong pursue lasting control, and that control makes you unbreakable. Remember this. If someone can make you angry easily, they control you. If someone can trigger your insecurity, they can control your decisions. But when you stay silent, observe, and wait, you reclaim mastery. You become the strategist, not the puppet. That is the foundation of dominance. The world is full of manipulators, provocations, and unfair circumstances. But none of them can touch you unless you allow it. Your real enemy isn't the person across from you, it's the emotions left unchecked inside you. Control them before they control you. For a sharp mind and a steady spirit are the weapons that let you walk through storms as if they were sunny days. Words may be hurled at you, doubts may be planted, but if you remain unmoved, you rise above it all. Emotional control doesn't just protect you from mistakes, it opens the door to opportunity. With clarity of mind, you see paths others overlook. With peace in your heart, you make wiser decisions. And when you stand unshaken in the storm, you become an anchor not only for yourself, but for others as well. That is true strength. Not being the loudest voice in the room, but being the one everyone notices in silence. The greatest battle is not out there, it is within. If you want to outsmart the world, you must first outsmart yourself. Outsmart your anger, outsmart your fear, outsmart the fragile ego that craves revenge. For your legacy will never be built on arguments, it will be built on the mastery of self in the midst of chaos. Etch this truth into your mind. The first rule of mastering life is to control your emotions before they control you. Once you master this, you've laid the foundation for every other form of power. In a noisy room, the one who shouts the loudest, waves their hands, and flaunts their authority is rarely the strongest. True power often rests in the person who sits, still their eyes quietly observing, their ears catching every detail, their face revealing nothing. It is that calm presence that makes them the center of gravity, a force everyone feels without a single word spoken. Calmness is not indifference, it is control. The one who can face chaos yet keep a clear mind holds the advantage. In contrast, those who let emotions drag them into shouting matches of anger or trembling in fear have already handed over their power. The world may shake, but the calm one remains unmoved, and in that unshakable presence lies invincibility. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. When you are silent, no one can read your thoughts, predict your moves, or anticipate your plans. In that mystery, you hold an invisible advantage. Manipulators grow uneasy, opponents grow nervous, and even allies develop deeper respect. The strength of calmness lies in how it shifts the balance of power. In any debate, the one who speaks the most is not necessarily the winner, the one who reacts the fastest is not necessarily right, but the one who knows when to remain silent, who listens, who observes, this is the person who eventually gains the upper hand. While others expose everything through words and actions, you collect information, conceal strategy, and act only when certainty is on your side. One strike, precise and deliberate, is worth more than 100 blind swings. Think of a river. The water flows gently, almost softly, yet it carves valleys, erodes stone, and shapes great landscapes. That quiet flow is not weakness, it is endurance. So it is with people. The calm one, steady and unhurried, is the one who builds lasting strength that transforms the world. Silence gives you time to think. While others rush to react, you gain an extra moment to observe, analyze, and choose wisely. Silence protects your energy. You do not waste it on pointless arguments, nor surrender your peace to trivial insults. You learn to choose when to speak, ensuring that when your words finally come, they carry undeniable weight. People fear silence because it forces them to confront themselves, but those who master silence turn it into a weapon. When you do not answer, others speculate. When you do not react, they grow uncertain. And when your silence lasts long enough, they realize your peace cannot be disturbed by their words or actions. That is silent dominance, the kind of power that needs no announcement yet compels recognition. Calmness is not innate. It is trained. To hold peace in the storm, you must learn to resist provocation, to tame pride, to keep your mouth shut when words could ruin everything. That is the art of restraint. That is also the art of leadership. A true leader is not the one who talks the most, but the one people listen to even before they speak. The calm person always sparks curiosity. They remain an enigma, and that unpredictability becomes magnetic. No one can strike what they cannot clearly see. No one can control what they cannot read. And no one can destroy the one who refuses to play their game. This is why calmness and silence often carry respect, sometimes even fear. Let silence be your statement. Let calmness be your aura, the kind no one can imitate. When others lose their temper, remain still. When they grow loud, keep observing. When everyone fights to speak, hold your silence until your words are truly necessary. That contrast alone will make you stand out, turning your presence into something impossible to ignore. In a chaotic world, calmness and silence are higher forms of power. They do not shout, they do not boast, yet they shift outcomes. And when you master them, you realize you don't need to yell to prove yourself. You don't need to display to be acknowledged. With a steady presence and well-timed silence, you make the whole world take notice. Power has never belonged to the loudest voice in the room. It lies in the knowledge you accumulate, in the quiet observations no one else notices. Those who talk too much believe they are controlling the narrative, but in truth, they are exposing their thoughts, emotions, and weaknesses for the world to see. The wise are different. They listen, they observe, they learn, and they only speak when necessary. Their restraint makes every word they release carry 10 times the weight of the noisy crowd. In a world drowning in noise, the one who chooses silence with intention always stands out. Silence does not mean ignorance, it means confidence. They don't need to speak to prove themselves. Their knowledge, their results, their actions speak louder than words. This is the art of learn everything, speak little. The art of turning knowledge into a silent weapon and silence into a shield. The more you learn, the greater your arsenal becomes. You understand people, you grasp the patterns, you read the situation. Every piece of information you gather becomes a brick in the fortress of your mind. But if you talk too much, You swing the gates wide open and let others walk in, discovering your weaknesses. The intelligent know that words come with a cost. Every sentence spends energy, time, and sometimes even advantage. So they speak only when needed, and when they do, their words cut sharp like a blade. Those who speak less are often respected more. Silence creates a space, and in that space, others begin to imagine you as deeper, wiser, harder to read. Curiosity grows. And when you finally choose to speak, people listen because they know your words are not fillers, but truths that matter. In life, you will often see the loud boasting of plans, dreams, and ambitions. Yet most of those grand speeches never materialize. The wise keep their plans within, act patiently in silence, and let results announce themselves. Don't declare your goals, declare your achievements. Don't rush to explain your thinking, let your life demonstrate it. To learn everything means to constantly absorb knowledge, not just from books, but from people, from failures, from the tiny details others overlook. The wise enter a room and read its energy. They notice how people speak, how they move, how they stay silent. Every gesture is data, every expression a signal, and together they form insights that others will never see. But knowledge only becomes power when paired with restraint. If you know much but reveal too much, you give away your advantage. Others will dissect your words, find cracks, and use your openness against you. But if you know much and say little, you leave them disoriented. They cannot predict, cannot read, and your silence becomes an invisible pressure. Remember, silence is not passivity. Silence is strategy. You stay silent to learn, to observe, to protect what matters most inside you. And when you finally speak, your words are not just sound, they are undeniable truths. The strength of this rule lies in balance. Absorb knowledge like a sponge, but release it drop by drop. Let others believe you know less, while in reality you know far more. Let your silence spark curiosity, and let your understanding place you steps ahead. An arrow shot too quickly is easily dodged, but an arrow aimed with patience and precision strikes with certainty. Words are the same, don't release them recklessly. Hold them until they can pierce straight into the heart of the matter. Then, one sentence from you outweighs 100 from the crowd. The ones who truly dominate are those whose silence makes the whole room shift. They don't need to shout to be noticed. They don't need to boast to be respected. Their knowledge, their observation, and their measured words elevate them to a level no one can touch. This rule is simple yet immensely powerful. Learn everything and speak little. That is how you protect your energy, preserve your advantage, and turn your presence into a mystery no one dares to underestimate. How many times have you waited for someone else's approval before taking a step forward? How many opportunities slipped away because you thought you weren't ready because you waited for a nod of validation? The truth is, no one is coming to open the door for you. No one will hand you a certificate proving you're worthy. If you keep waiting, you'll be left behind. If you keep asking, you've already surrendered your power. Power doesn't belong to the hesitant, it belongs to those who decide. Acting with precision is not about rushing or recklessness. It is knowing exactly what you want, preparing, training, calculating, and then moving forward with certainty. Successful people don't wait for consensus. They don't sit quietly in the corner hoping to be called. They create opportunities with the precision of their actions. The world is not fair. It will not grant you a seat at the table just because you desire one, but it is forced to yield to those who walk with confidence. The person who advances with certainty makes doors open not because they begged, but because their presence leaves no other choice. Countless dreams have died waiting for approval. People had ambitions, visions, passions, yet they never began. They thought it wasn't the right time, they feared rejection, they longed for permission. By the time they realized, time had stolen their chance. In contrast, those who build great legacies never wait. They move first, and their success demands recognition. Precision requires preparation. A pilot doesn't ask passengers for permission to take off. He has studied the route, mastered the craft, and knows when it is time to ascend. Your life works the same way. Don't wait for approval. Prepare yourself so well that when the moment comes, you can take off without hesitation. Your precision is the only ticket you'll ever need. The weak say, I'll start when, or I'll try if. The strong don't wait for perfect conditions. They act even in the dark, knowing perfection will never arrive. Every great achievement begins with uncertain steps, with daring moves made without guarantees. It is those steps that shape the future. Acting without permission doesn't mean disregarding everything. It means knowing your worth and refusing to let others define it. It means owning your path, walking it whether others agree or not. And precision is your proof, sharper than excuses, louder than promises. One decisive move outweighs 1,000 empty declarations. Let the world be surprised by what you've finished, not by what you promised. Don't announce where you're going, let them see you've already arrived. Don't wait to be chosen, choose yourself. Don't beg for a seat at the table, build your own. That is how true power is born, not from permission, but from precision. The difference between dreamers and dominators is clear. Dreamers write endless plans, yet never begin. Dominators choose one, master it, and execute with focus. Dreamers crave encouragement. Dominators fuel themselves with discipline. And this world always belongs to the dominators, never to the dreamers. You may fail, but failing with precision is worth more than rotting in hesitation. Failure teaches you to adjust, to sharpen, to rise wiser. Waiting teaches nothing but regret. Better to stumble on your own path than to stand still on one drawn by someone else. No one walks through life without stumbling. Failure is certain, loss is inevitable, pain is unavoidable. But the difference between the defeated and the resilient lies in how they face those falls. The weak see failure as an ending, as shame carved into their identity. The strong see failure as a map, a treasure chest, filled with lessons they can transform into strategies if they stay awake and aware. Failure is not punishment, it is preparation. Every fall reveals where you are fragile. Every closed door whispers that the path may not be yours. Every rejection sharpens your resilience. If you only sit and cry, you've turned failure into a prison. But if you analyze, dissect, and transform it, you turn the prison into a training ground, the wound into wisdom, the pain into a plan. Remember, failure does not define you. It only reflects who you were yesterday. That version may have been weaker, incomplete, unprepared. But today, if you learn, you become someone new. And tomorrow, if you apply the lessons, you'll surpass anyone who once underestimated you. Failure defines you only if you stop. If you continue, it becomes the brickwork beneath your success. Look at those who are truly great. None of them walked a red carpet road. They failed, far more often than you imagine. They lost, they hurt, they were rejected, they were betrayed. But they didn't shrink under the weight of failure. They turned it into fuel. Like a bowstring pulled back to launch an arrow farther, life sometimes pulls you backward, only to prepare you for a greater leap. Pain doesn't arrive to destroy you, it arrives to reposition you. When failure comes, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this here to teach me? That one shift changes everything. It transforms you from victim to student. Every wound becomes a lecture. And the harsher the lesson, the sharper the wisdom. The wise use that wisdom to redesign their path, refine their strategy, and return stronger. Failure can break you, but it can also make you formidable. Those who fail and quit reveal they never truly desired it. But those who fail and return with sharper clarity, with relentless, will become the ones the world fears. Because they don't just return, they return with strategy. The power of turning failure into strategy lies in analysis. Instead of letting emotion blind you, you choose clarity. You ask, why didn't this work? What did I miss? What can I change in my approach? You don't chain yourself to the question, how weak am I? Instead, you focus on how can I be stronger? That is the mindset of a leader, someone who turns adversity into a launch pad. Picture building a tower. Each failure isn't demolition, it's a weak floor. If you're patient enough to rebuild, to reinforce the structure, you continue to rise higher. But if you give up, the tower remains a scattered pile of bricks. Success isn't the absence of failure, it's the mastery of failure. Failure also teaches humility. When you're knocked down, you learn to listen more, observe more, slow down and think instead of rushing. Humility doesn't weaken you, it sharpens you. The arrogant repeat mistakes. The humble transform. And transformation opens doors. Pain never arrives empty-handed. It either breaks you or it builds you. The wise always choose the latter. Rejection teaches patience, loss teaches gratitude, betrayal teaches discernment, failure teaches reconstruction. And through it all, you become someone failure can no longer touch. This rule is simple but powerful. Turn failure into strategy. Don't let it paralyze you, let it sharpen you. Don't let it kill your drive, let it refine your will. Don't treat it as the period at the end of your story. Treat it as the comma before the next chapter. Success isn't about never falling, it's about never staying down. And when you master this, failure is no longer an enemy. It becomes your silent ally, your strict but fair teacher, your uncut gem that only the resilient can polish into a weapon. Use failure wisely, and you will never return empty-handed. You'll come back armed with sharper tools and with a spirit no force can break. When others can predict your next move, you've already given them control without them lifting a finger. They read your habits, anticipate your reactions, and exploit your patterns. You think you are choosing, but in reality, you are following the script they wrote for you. That is why unpredictability is not just an advantage, it is a shield against control. Being unpredictable does not mean being reckless or chaotic. It is intentional flexibility. It is the strategy of shifting your rhythm so no one can grasp your direction. When they expect you to rage, you stay silent. When they assume you'll quit, you return stronger. When they believe you'll beg, you calmly walk away. Each time you shatter an expectation, you shake the foundation they cling to. And that surprise alone makes you a force they dare not underestimate. Remember, most people live by inertia. They react the same way in the same situations, walk the same familiar roads, and fall into the same traps. That makes them predictable, exploitable, and beatable. But the one who dares to shift, who chooses to break patterns, always holds the upper hand. Because no one can control what they cannot understand, and no one can stop what they cannot see coming. Unpredictability carries a unique power. It makes people cautious of you even when you do nothing. They calculate more carefully, tread more lightly, because they do not know your next move. And in their hesitation, you gain ground. A single moment of their confusion can be your greatest step forward. Unpredictability also protects your energy. By refusing to repeat old patterns, you free yourself from being enslaved by emotional triggers. You are no longer a puppet of circumstance. You choose when to react, how to respond, and what method to use. Each time you choose differently, you reinforce your control. No one can corner you because they don't know where your corner is. No one can block your path because they don't know which path you'll take. Look at true leaders. They never repeat the same tactic too often. They surprise, they adapt, they keep opponents off balance. Like a skilled general on the battlefield, they know when to advance, when to retreat, when to feign weakness, and when to unleash true strength. Their unpredictability allows them to win not through brute force, but through intelligence. The same applies to relationships. The unpredictable person cannot be easily exploited or manipulated. They are not forced to respond the way others expect. They know when to draw near, when to pull back, when to remain silent, and when to speak. This flexibility keeps them in control of every connection. Unpredictability also means you never reveal yourself entirely. You keep part of you in silence, part of you in mystery, part of you untouchable. This is not distance, it is protection. When others do not know everything about you, they cannot use that knowledge against you. Mystery becomes the invisible wall that guards your value. Practice unpredictability by breaking your old reflexes. When you want to reply instantly, stay quiet. When you want to explain, let silence speak. When you want to prove yourself, let results do the talking. Each time you disrupt a habit, you expand your freedom. The more unpredictable you are, the freer you become. Do not confuse unpredictability with chaos. Chaos is losing control. Unpredictability is maintaining control. Chaos is impulsive and sloppy. Unpredictability is strategic and deliberate. The strong never live chaotically, they live strategically, using unpredictability as both defense and offense. This rule is both shield and sword. Shield because it protects you from manipulation, sword because it makes you a force others cannot confront directly. Be unpredictable. So anyone planning to harm you must think twice and in the hesitation, you've already won. True power does not lie in showing everything, it lies in holding something back for yourself. When you are unpredictable, you become an enigma. And in a world desperate to control, an enigma is unconquerable. True power is never in loud declarations. True power lives in the silence that no one can ignore. The weak need to boast to feel recognized. The strong let results speak for themselves. They don't need to announce how many battles they've survived because their very presence is proof enough. They let victory be their voice, let achievements become the undeniable echo. Victory without display is the art of composure. You don't need to jump into every argument to prove yourself. You don't need to respond to every insult to protect your worth. Because you know your true value cannot be shaken by words. People may doubt, mock, or belittle you, but when you move forward in silence, one day your results will silence them all. This world is full of those who love to brag. They talk about plans, flaunt ambitions, broadcast goals, but most never move beyond words. Meanwhile, the truly great build in silence. They let their success arrive like a storm, unannounced, uninvited, undeniable. When it comes, it cannot be ignored. Silence is not cowardice. Silence is discipline. It is the restraint that saves energy for building instead of wasting it in arguments. The truly strong do not react to every ripple of noise because they know no wave can shake the ocean. When you grasp this, you stop chasing petty wins and begin building a victory that endures. Victory without display is victory without an audience. You don't need applause to know you've succeeded. You don't need instant recognition to believe in your worth. Time will reveal the truth, and time is the fairest judge. While others waste energy boasting, you quietly accumulate. While they burn themselves in endless disputes, you conserve strength for progress. And when the dust settles, you will stand in a place they cannot reach. The highest power is self-mastery. And self-mastery means refusing to be dragged into battles unworthy of you. Not every provocation deserves a response. Not every fight deserves your presence. At this level, you don't fight because you're forced. You fight only when you choose. That choice is your power. Silent victories are sustainable victories. Because when you don't depend on recognition, you cannot be weakened by rejection. When you don't need the spotlight to shine, darkness cannot extinguish you. You stand steady, independent, untouchable. That is enduring strength. Let others believe your silence means weakness. Let them assume you've stopped. One day, when you appear with undeniable results, they will realize you never lost. You were training in silence. And when you arrive, that victory will thunder louder than any boast ever could. Victory without display is the ultimate proof that you have risen above the game of comparison. You no longer chase petty wins, no longer need to answer every critic. You step into a higher realm where victory requires no validation because it is visible, undeniable, and unshakable. This is true dominance. Mastery of yourself, mastery of your destiny, mastery of the game without noise. And here lies the final message. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to boast to be seen. Build in silence. Be patient in the shadows. One day your results will roar for you. Your peace, your discipline, your legacy, these will be the loudest proof that you have won. Let the world witness your success without warning. Let your victory rise like the dawn needing no applause, yet radiant, inevitable, unstoppable. For the greatest victory of all is victory in silence.